What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my Forma building guide for this month's Hall of Forms featuring Sacred Stone units like Brave Eirika, Summer Ephraim, Legendary Myrrh, and Neimi. We're going to be having Reposition Gate in the Hall of Forms pool, so now going forward, this is going to be the assist you should be giving to your infantry and armors. Unfortunately, cavalry and flyers are not going to be able to get it, and the skills are going to be up to the Resvalgar banner. So let us begin with the first unit in Brave Eirika, who's going to be the highlight of this badge for many people. She was the strongest out of her Choose Your Legends badge, and then she did end up getting a pretty nice weapon refine to her Binding Dragon Leaf. So this does a -1 special cooldown and also effective damage against armors and cavaliers. So this can often help her finish off the armor units, which are really bulky. And then with her weapon refine, she's able to get +5 to all of her stats. She also has the pierceable 40% damage reduction on foes' first attack. And then she has got 2 different conditions for the half null follow-ups basically. And she does have the full null follow-up with this weapon. And then she has another round of +5 to all of her stats. And she also inflicts the attack speed and defense debuff on the foe, depending on 5+ the number of bonus status active on them. So this can go up to +9, and she can basically get +19 to those stats. And she also has Del attack speed and defense built in, so ignoring any kind of visible buffs to that is going to be helping her. She also has her preferred skill in Moonlight Bangle, which was amazing, and it is still really good for its true damage. So it does have Canto 2 built in it, and it does give her Null Guard, which Cavaliers usually do not have easy access to, and it gives you true damage on your special triggers depending on a percentage of foes' defense. So this depends on your maximum special cooldown count, and usually you're going to be running a 2 cooldown special like No Quarter. So against most foes, this is going to be 40% of their defense. And overall, Brave Eirika was able to still function nicely with her weapon refine, but the competition just kept increasing with Brave Crom, and now we have got Emblem Seeker. And because we have got a lot of flat damage reduction, it does make her job a bit harder as a nuke. So in this Hall of Forms, you're going to be able to get some really premium skills that can act as an upgrade or even a side grade, and it could open up some nice options in the future. So you should definitely be getting her weapon refine if you don't already have it, and her best special is going to be No Quarter for the damage reduction piercing. Emblem Secret Ring is going to be the main ring that she's going to be running with this build. So she's able to have the 4 movement and also get the flat Canto 3, which is really good. For her slaughter, you could try and get attack speed XL because it helps you offensively, and it also gives you the flat damage reduction to survive. And many of the very bulky units can hit really hard. So this kind of flat damage reduction helps against them, and it does have good synergy with Emblem Secret Ring. And unfortunately, Slice of Sparrow is not going to be available in this Hall of Form, so this is going to be your main option. If you're going to be running her with any kind of AoE specials, then Verge of Death is something you could try and pick up, or if you already have Attack Speed XL, Flared Sparrow is also an option, but keep in mind that the pre-combat damage has been countered with Hathrin and also Breath of Life, so I do prefer XL and Verge of Death over it. And for slot B, your main option is going to be Momentum. It might seem a bit weird at first, replacing her preferred skill like Moonlight Bangle with Momentum, but keep in mind that nowadays we have units that hit so hard that she's not going to be able to survive to even trigger her special to get the true damage out of it. And you can already get the Canto out of Emblem Secret Ring. So Momentum gives you the special jump, which is really helpful for instantly triggering No Quarter, and it also gives you the true damage. So while its true damage is not going to be as much as Moonlight Bangle, the fact that you're able to trigger your special before is really good. This can be really helpful for killing many of the bulky units, and someone like Nidhogger, who's red unit, and she's also susceptible to the armor effective damage. She might just, kill Eirika on the retaliation with her Sturdy Beast, and then Eirika would not get the chance of triggering her special with Moonlight Bangle. So Momentum can help you in those kinds of matchups, and this is definitely the premium sloppy skill that you should be picking up. And just a heads up that the preferred skills do have more chance of occurring in Hall of Forms. So if you're trying to get Momentum, first get her preferred skill so that it stops showing up in the skill list, and then you could maybe try and get Momentum. And then for slot C, you could try and run Shadow Shift, which is in the Hall of Forms, and it works really nicely with the Canto of Sigurd Ring or even with her Moonlight Bangle. and it does give you the extra stats and healing as well. So this is really good for supporting your allies, and it is one of the better options that a Cavalier can run nowadays. Inside attack speed is also an option if you want to get the incited status and the visible buffs, and if you're going to be running the AoE specials, then Fatal Smoke is going to be helping you against Breath of Life. Summer Ephraim is an Axe Cavalier with Seafoam Splitter as his preferred weapon. This does a -1 special cooldown, and it can also give him the +1 movement status. And back then we didn't really have the Sigurd ring, so this did make him a permanent 4 movement Cavalier, which is a lot easier to do nowadays, but this did help him as a really good nuke. And with the in-combat effects, he's mainly able to debuff the opponent's attack and defense by -6, and then he gets special charges per attack, so this does make him a pretty nice Gale Force unit, and he's also able to trigger no quarter easily, and he does have the pierceable 40% damage reduction on foe's first attack. So not the craziest weapon outside of the +1 movement, and even that, like I said, is replicable with Sigurd Ring, but what is not replicable is definitely his preferred slot B scaled Sunlight Bangle. So this can enable him to debuff the opponent's attack and defense by even more, depending on the spaces moved by whoever initiated. So this is going to be max -8 attack and defense debuff, and it also has the dual phase Brave effect. So this is incredible, and this is what helps him as a nuke with the 4 movement, and he also has the 7 HP healing per his attack in the combat, and he also has Forced Vantage on the foe, so it is one of the more unique effects that we only really see on Ike and Ephraim. And with the Forced Vantage, you're able to charge up your special and then hit them, but sometimes this can definitely backfire if the enemy can pierce your damage reduction and hit extremely hard. So some people I know do dislike this, and they just try and disable this by running the Hardy Bearing Sacred Seal on him. But you know, like I said, this can also help you charge up your high cooldown specials like Gale Force, which can definitely help you with the hit and run playstyle. And Summer Ephraim has got a dual phase Brave weapon that is 16 in might. I used him extensively a couple of months back as a Gale Force unit, but then we got a lot of extra action units, but still he could be used in Ether Raid's offense, and now we have got Safety Fence level 2. So the fact that you don't need Sigurd Ring on him to get the +1 movement can be really helpful, and he can easily trigger Gale Force. But like I said, the hard-hitting enemies are something you need to watch out for. And in this Hollow Forms, you could try and get no quarter on him. That is absolutely the special you should get for the damage reduction piercing, and he can easily nuke with the special charges of his weapon. And for the slotty, he doesn't have many options, and Attack Defense Excel is going to be the best option that you could pick up, because he does have the Forced Vantage, and Attack Defense Excel gives you the flat damage reduction, and also gives you another instance of the flat damage reduction if the enemy has got any kind of special. So it does help you in player phase, and it can help him reliably survive with all of this flat damage reduction. If you already have it, then you could try and get fortifications, but other than that, he doesn't really have many options. Unlike Brave Eirika, I don't really think that he should be replacing his slot B whatsoever, but I guess if you're trying to get the Forma value, you could also try and get momentum on him, but the dual phase Brave hits are just way too good, and it is still consistently one of the best effects a unit can have. And for Slotsy, you could try and run Odd Defense Wave. So with his Forced Vantage playstyle and the special charges of his weapon, this can give you the full tempo effect, which can really help you trigger your specials, even high cooldown specials. So the tempo effect can be really helpful for a Cavalier, and he does have the defense to make use out of it. So he's one of the unique users of this skill, so it is a really good option on him. But if you want the utility of Shadow Shift, then it is also an option. Unfortunately, we don't really have inside attack defense yet, so that's not really something you could try and get. And Odd Defense Wave can help you, especially if you run the Emblem Sigurd Ring, because then he gets the Canto out of it. Otherwise, he will have to run Alarm Attack Defense, as he doesn't have Canto in his weapon or in his slot B skill. Glittering Myrrh was one of the earlier warp blocking units along with Gatekeeper, and she is a blue flying dragon with Godly Breath as her preferred weapon. This is a pretty old weapon, and it does give you -1 special cooldown. It only inflicts -5 debuff on the opponent's stats. It does have the pierceable 30% damage reduction in the combat, and it does give you the AoE damage reduction as well, which is really coveted nowadays, so this is probably the most useful effect out of this weapon. And then she has got the guaranteed follow-up attack, So it's a pretty basic weapon right now, and she is going to be getting a refine in summer of 2025. So hopefully she can get something good. And she does have Darkling Guardian as her preferred Slotsy skill, which was pretty unique for that time because it did have the warp bubble status, and that allowed you to just block the warping, which was really good. And she also got the follow-up denial status and the defense and resistance buff. But now Darkling Guardian is just outclassed with Barricade being a thing, as Barricade is just better than Warp Bubble because it's not a visible status effect that could be stolen or erased by Duo Thor, and it could easily be run on many of the newer dragons or beast units like Icthinir for example, and just have much better roll compression. And even in Arena, there are going to be many of the units that could be run there. She is going to be getting a remix to it, and she definitely needs a lot of things to it so that she can improve because her combat isn't really there and her support unfortunately isn't unique anymore. And then there's Valentine Myrrh, who can have the warp bubble and also give it to an ally and function as a safe tank. So Legendary Myrrh is going to be getting a refine and remix in May of 2025 and around that. So it is going to be a refined gamble that you'll have to take. And if you're going to be getting her in the Holo forms, then you could try and get New Sunstone Plus, as it can give you the flat damage reduction and it can be a decent weapon until her refine. At least it gives you the flat damage reduction. But if you want the AoE damage reduction, then her preferred weapon could be run. And for her special, you should definitely get Dragon's Roar because it's gonna be giving you the unpierceable damage reduction, and it also scores high in Arena, so it is the best option. For her slaughter, you could try and run Defense Res Scal 4, which can give you more bulk and also give you the Scal effect, but she may get this as a remix skill, so if you think similarly, then you could maybe try and get Stronghold, because I'm quite sure I don't think she's going to be getting Stronghold as a remix skill. Defense Res Scal is a skill of Valentine Myrrh, so she may get that, and Scal is pretty common on these kinds of dragons, so you could try and get Stronghold for its cleansing, and it can also help you get the visible defense and resistance, which can help you with some of the other skills that you may try and run. And for Slot B, you could try and run Dragon Scales, which is going to be in the skill pool. So this is a pretty nice skill for a flying dragon, which can give you up to -11 attack, defense, and resistance debuff on the foe. And more importantly, it also gives you the -1 special cooldown jump before their attack. So it does help with Dragon's Roar, and you also get the 50% damage reduction piercing, which can also help improve her combat. And there are not too many options. I guess if you want to get a different skill, then Reopening could be an option for the flat damage reduction, but keep in mind that her preferred weapon already has the guaranteed follow-up attack, so you're going to be getting the 10% of your defense as the true damage and flat damage reduction. And it's kind of funny to even suggest this on a unit like her, but High Dragon Wall is an option if you're purely thinking about the arena scoring. It is the only slot B skill in the game that scores as a 400 SP skill, so it can give you the better arena scoring if you're really trying to optimize your score. But again, it is going to be a bit redundant with her slot C, unless you run a different slot C skill, like maybe Breath of Life 4 that you might have picked up for the Forma value, or Crux, or Ploy skill. And you could also run Soaring Guidance, but I still like running her slot C, even though it's not as unique anymore. Still, it does help against these Celica ring users in Arena, so it can still be a good slot C skill for that purpose. Neimi is a red bow infantry archer, and she does have a preferred weapon, even though it's not the craziest weapon in Rapid Cryer Bow, so it doesn't have -1 special cooldown. It does have +3 speed, and it also has attack speed gap built in. She only gets +5 to all of her stats, and she does get extra attack depending on the highest total attack and speed buffs of the ally in 3 spaces. So this is definitely a weapon that could even be replaced by many of the inheritable weapons, and she's going to be getting a refine at the very end of 2026 most likely. So I did put this in case you were wondering when she's going to be getting one. So a really long time, and she does face a lot of competition even from the free-to-play pool with Cyril and Groom Allcrest. So if you're going to be getting her in the Holo forms, then try and get Golden Yule Bow Plus or Gainful Bow. Those are going to be your best bows. So Golden Yule Bow Plus can give you a lot of extra stats and also gives you the special jump, which can be really helpful for triggering your specials, and it works really well with the Emblem Secret Ring. Gainful Bow can also be an option if you want to get a lot of attack and speed depending on the visible status effects. So it does give you the full null follow-up and null panic, so that can be helpful as well. And these weapons are going to be better offensively compared to her preferred weapon. You're not going to be able to get the arcane bows in the Hall of Forms. And then for her special, you could try and get Curved Shot, as it can give you the unpierceable damage reduction, and it does work out with this kind of build, so it can help her survive. And if you want the full damage reduction piercing, then Deadeye is going to be an option. But the thing with Curve Shot is that it is a 2 cooldown special, and Golden Yule Bow Plus can give you up to -3 special cooldown jump. So even if you face a Scowl enemy, it is going to be getting offset, and you're still going to be triggering Curve Shot on your first attack. So it can be really good, and you could trigger double Curve Shot with this kind of build. And attack speed finish is still a really good slotty option that you could pick up for its true damage, for its healing, and with this kind of playstyle of triggering the specials. And for slot B, you actually have a lot of options. You can try and get the tempo scale for its damage reduction piercing, and also the null guard effect, which does work with this build. But you could also try and get physical null follow-up for its damage reduction piercing. If you're running Deadeye, then Assassin Strike is also an option. And Lagu's Friend could also be something that you could run at absolute max investment for getting the flat damage reduction and true damage out of her resistance. And if you want to have a more supportive route, then the Sabotage or Discord skills are something that you could try and run. But then you're going to be needing to stack a bit of her resistance. And for her slot C, Attack Speed Pledge is good for giving her the visible buffs and also the Special Charges status, which does have good synergy with the tempo scale. So you basically trigger Curved Shot with the special jump of Golden Yule Bow Plus, and then with the tempo and the pledge skill, you trigger Curved Shot again on your double attack. So not only it helps you survive, but it also helps you do a lot more damage. And you could even run Odd Speed Wave if you want to get the full null follow-up out of it, or Infantry null follow-up for if you want to give the support to your allies while getting it. And at max investment, she could definitely try and run the Ploy skill for utilizing her resistance. Next month is going to be Path of Radiance Hall of Forms, and the options out of this game is about as scarce as water in a desert. So we're going to be getting young Ilyana for sure, because they do have this magic rule in Hall of Forms. So every batch has a magic dealing unit, either a dragon or a mage. So you can basically expect young Ilyana. She's also popular, she's also in the Divine Codes, and they need to break the precedence of a unit being 255 days old from their debut with their Hall of Forms appearance if they want to put Festival Lucia or Festival Mia, which they could always try and do. But I do think that they're probably going to be trying to use the other options, and we do have the duo units as the potential options now that we have got Duo Eden in Hall of Forms. So Duo Ike is something I am expecting, as he is going to be the star unit out of this batch. Young Mia could also be an option they could put, and she's also in the Divine Codes. Gatry did get a really nice weapon refine, so they could try and put another Shield Fighter armor in this Hall of Form. And as I said, young Ilyana is pretty much confirmed unless they drastically change things. So come back to this video next month to see if I was right or wrong. And I want to thank all of my team members for their constant support. You can click the link on the screen right now to check out my review of Winter Ectanier, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Legendary Myrrh after seeing Barricade. So that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.